So, hello everyone. Hope everyone's doing well and welcome. So, today we're going to be doing our video briefing on legal services and guidance on the asylum process, part 1. So, there are 2 parts to this, and the reason why we've done that is because there's a lot of information and the asylum process is really complicated. And that's why we didn't want to include everything in one session and pile you with lots and lots of information. So in this one, we will cover an introduction on claiming asylum in the UK, which will include what to expect during your asylum interview and guidance on legal aid and legal services. And then in the second part, we will discuss in more detail what happens after you have received a decision on your asylum claim, whether that's positive or negative. So then, introduction to claiming asylum in the UK. Now, if you're in the UK because you have a fear of persecution or serious harm being posed to you in your home country, which is basically what persecution means, serious harm, then you have a right to seek asylum here in the UK. And that right to seek asylum is set out in international law within the UN Refugee Convention, and the UK government has a legal responsibility to provide protection to people who meet the criteria for asylum by recognising them as refugees or granting them humanitarian protection. So the picture here shows when the UN Refugee Convention was actually signed and passed into law. So to qualify for refugee status, you must have a well-founded fear of persecution, which basically means being harmed, and this must be based on your race, religion, nationality, membership of a particular social group, for example, your sexual orientation, or your political opinion. If you don't qualify for any form of protection, then your claim might be refused and you will usually be expected to leave the UK. Now, claiming asylum is a very complex legal process, and so you will need advice from a qualified, regulated and professional lawyer. Now, unfortunately, we are not legal representatives and therefore we cannot give any legal advice on individual asylum cases, but what we can do is signpost you and help you with finding legal representatives. So, legal advice. Now, you can approach an asylum lawyer about your asylum claim, and we recommend that you do this at your earliest opportunity. So, free legal advice. Now, as an asylum seeker, you're entitled to free legal advice, but please ensure that any solicitor you instruct can access legal aid. Legal aid basically means that helps people with no or low income, and it helps them to pay for the cost of getting legal advice. The government provides funds and the legal aid fees are paid directly to the legal advice provider. The legal aid provider will do something that's called a merits test to check whether they can claim legal aid to give you free legal advice to help you with your asylum claim. Now, this is basically proof of being on low income and that your case has a realistic chance of success. So, the Legal Aid England and Wales. So, the Legal Aid Agency oversees legal aid in England and Wales, and to find a legal representative you can go on the Law Society website, you can go on the DirectGov website, or you can go on the DirectGov website where you can find an OISC level 2 or a level 3 advisor. The legal aid process is slightly different in Northern Ireland and Scotland, and Migrant Help can also signpost you to legal representatives. However, there should be a list of legal aid agencies available at your accommodation. Now, if you need help with signposting from Migrant Help, then please call 0808 8010 503, or you can contact us via our web chat, on our service user portal, on the Migrant Help website. So what does my lawyer do? Now, your lawyer should be able to assist you with discussing your evidence and helping you plan for what to do with your asylum claim. They should also help complete the preliminary interview questionnaire. Now, we'll explain this in a bit more detail later on. Explain how the law applies to your case and how you can build your case around that. Help you prepare and submit evidence to the Home Office. Submit your claim statement. Arrange translations and professional evidence, for example, expert reports and medical evidence. Make legal arguments in support of your case. Give advice on the strengths and weaknesses of your individual case. Help you prepare for your main asylum interview. Help complete an appeal if your asylum case is refused. Answer all your legal questions impartially. Provide an interpreter for your meetings with them when it is needed. And your lawyer should act within the law and in your best interests. They should also tell you what to do if you're not happy with them and how to make a complaint. Now, this should be available in the client care letter. Your lawyer might be able to help in some situations to represent you in court if you're refused and for appeal. So, to complain. You have the right to complain if you feel you've received bad legal advice. For this, you must submit a written complaint to the firm handling your case. You will need the following pieces of information, and that's your name, your contact details, complete details of the complaint with times, dates and location if possible, any witnesses and their details if that's relevant, any copies of letters and papers if that's relevant, and your case reference number. Now, the complaints procedure should be included in the client care letter, which the legal representative should give to you when you first meet with them, and this should also confirm how long it takes to investigate complaints. It's really important that you only use qualified legal representatives who are officially recognised with appropriate training, and to check that your legal representative is qualified and officially recognised, you must ensure that they're registered with one of the following organisations. So the Law Society of England Wales, and you can see the logo right here, or the Office of the Immigration Services Commissioner, also known as OISC, which has a register of advisors who are level 1, level 2 or level 3. And what level 2 or 3 means that the advisor is qualified to give you legal advice regarding your asylum application and represent you in all your asylum matters. Now, you should ask your legal representative who they're registered with, and the logos of these, as we've shown you, should be on any letters you receive from them. You will also be able to check directly with the organisation that your legal representative is registered with them. So, the overview of the asylum process then. Now, here's a flow chart to help you visualise the different stages of the asylum process, and we'll explain each of them in a little bit more detail in this briefing and in the next briefing. So the Home Office is the leading UK government department for immigration and visas, and they also do passports, policing, fire and rescue services and protecting UK citizens. The area of the Home Office that you will be working directly with is called UK Visas and Immigration, also known as UKVI. Now, there are several stages in the asylum process, as you can see in this flowchart, and how long each stage takes depends on your circumstances, but you can't be removed from the UK while your case is being considered. So the first process, the screening interview process. Now, most of you will have attended a screening already, and you would have been given a preliminary interview questionnaire, also known as the PIQ, at your interview. And this form asks for details about your circumstances in relation to your asylum claim, including information on your family members, and the information provided on the form is used as part of the asylum decision making process. This is why we say it is so important for you to seek legal advice to help you complete this. Now, you would have also been given a Bail 201 form at your interview, and you can see what that looks like here. This document details your reporting conditions, which we will talk about a little later on, and you need to make sure that you're keeping your address updated with your legal representative and the reporting centre. Now, there's a link that you can update your address on the Government UK website, as you can see over here. And keeping address up to date is really important, as if you don't change your address, you could miss letters about your asylum claim. Immigration and asylum support teams at the Home Office are separate, so you would need to notify both of them. When you move into Home Office accommodation, the accommodation provider will notify asylum support. However, you will need to notify your legal representative and reporting centre of the change of the address for your immigration and asylum claim. You can also use your Bail 201 document as an ID to prove that you're on immigration bail. This will have your port reference listed on it, and this document should also have the details of your reporting centre. Now, after your screening, so the information that's collected from you in the screening interview is used to create your ARC. This should arrive after 3 days of your screening interview, and the card is an important document that shows that you have made an application for asylum. So it's also called the application registration card, and you can see what it looks like here. So it's important that you check that your personal details on your ARC card are correct, and you need to make sure that your name, your date of birth and country of origin have been recorded accurately. It's difficult to change these once they have been recorded. So your card will confirm any conditions prior to your screening interview that are attached to your status, and your ARC card will also confirm whether you are allowed to work. If you didn't have permission to work before you claimed asylum, then you won't be given permission to work when you make your claim, and your card will say that you are forbidden from taking employment. You will be given an ARC card for each member of your family, and it is really important that you keep this safe. Problems with your ARC. So if you have not received your ARC card after 3 days, then please go to the gov.uk website /ARC query form. And if your ARC has been lost, stolen, damaged, it hasn't arrived, it needs to be updated to reflect a change in circumstances, for example your right to work, displays the wrong photograph or any incorrect information, this will need to be reported via the ARC query form that you can find on gov.uk. So, reporting requirements. What are reporting centres? So while you're waiting for a decision on your asylum claim, you are likely to have to report to an immigration office at a specific time each week or each month. This is an example of a reporting centre that is based in Solihull in Birmingham for people that are living in the Midlands. And if you were given a Bail 201 form at your screening interview, this will detail the conditions of your entry in the UK and immigration bail. So what you need to take to your reporting appointment. You may be asked to provide information about your situation, such as your address, or if you have a dependent, for example, a child or a family member. And you'll need to bring the documents that were given to you by the Home Office, so your immigration reporting paperwork, like your Bail 201 letter and your ARC card. Now, you might get a text message to remind you about your appointment. Reporting can be pretty nerve-wracking, but there may be groups who can support you to attend in your local area. If you live outside of 3 miles of a reporting centre, then it is likely that you will have to pay to travel to your first appointment. But if you take your proof of asylum support, you can request assistance with travel costs. If you have any issues with attending reporting, then please contact your lawyer or your reporting centre. Again, it's really important to keep immigration up to date with your address, and there's a link that you can update your address on via the gov.uk website, as you can see over here. So just some very, very important information. Now, you might face penalties if you don't attend your appointment, and in these cases your asylum support could be withdrawn, or you could receive an unlimited fine, a criminal record, or even a 6-month prison sentence. So it's really important that you attend any reporting dates you have, because the conditions are strict. So your substantive interview. So after your screening interview, the next stage that should come in the asylum process is your substantive interview. Now, this is your main big asylum interview, and it's your chance to tell the Home Office your full story. It's really important to prepare for this interview. So how your asylum is considered. So as we mentioned before, asylum is a legal process, and the Home Office will be applying the law of the Refugee Convention to your case to decide whether you have a well-founded fear of persecution, so being harmed based on race, religion, political beliefs, or your social group. Those accepted as refugees are allowed to stay in the UK and won't be returned to the country where they might face persecution. If the Home Office doesn't feel that you meet the requirements for refugee status, then they may grant you humanitarian protection under the European Convention on Human Rights if there are risks of serious harm posed to you if you are returned to your home country that falls outside the criteria of the Refugee Convention. The Home Office might also choose to grant private/family life if you meet the immigration rules under Article 6. And the Home Office may also grant you discretionary leave to remain if there are other factors which mean that you need to stay in the UK. So this is based on human rights and compelling and compassionate circumstances. For example, in cases of modern slavery, medical cases, and unaccompanied minors, where the state in the home country won't be able to look after that child. So leave to remain will be granted until they're 18 years old, where the Home Office will look to return them back to their home country. Now, if you don't qualify for any protection or discretionary leave, then you will be refused, and in some cases you may be expected to depart from the UK. Now, you may have a right to appeal a refusal, and if you have an in-country right of appeal, then you can exercise this right, and you will then not be expected to depart the UK while the appeal is ongoing. Your legal representative will advise you further on this. So you can think about what you have experienced, when you experienced it, and in what context it happened, and who was involved, to show that you have a well-founded fear of persecution or being harmed. And make sure that this is clear in your mind and you have some idea of how you will explain this in your interview. Now, before your interview, if you are receiving asylum support, you should receive your travel tickets with your invitation letter. If you don't get this, then please contact the immigration casework team, who will arrange for the tickets to be issued to you. If you have to fund your own travel, then please keep all your travel receipts and interview letter, and then contact Migrant Help on 0808 8010 503 for advice. You should receive a letter inviting you to attend an interview. A copy of this should be sent to your legal representative if you have one, and the letter includes important information about arrangements for your interview. You should make your legal representative aware of your interview date, and they may also want to have an appointment with you before your interview. It's important that you keep your legal representative and the Home Office up to date with your address. You need to keep the team dealing with your support, if you've applied for this, and the team dealing with your asylum claim up to date with your address. Now, you can contact Migrant Help to update your address with the Asylum Support section if you are receiving support, and you can update the asylum teams via your legal representative, your reporting centre, or online, as you can see on this website. You may miss out on important information sent to you if you don't do this, which could negatively affect your asylum case or your asylum support. It is your legal right to have your interview audio recorded. Now, the Home Office usually state that interviews are now automatically audio recorded. However, it's probably best to still ask your lawyer to do a written request for an audio recording in advance of the interview, as this policy may not yet be standard practice. This must be at least 24 hours before your interview if you want it, and you should be given a written copy of your interview too. Now, you can ask for a male or female interviewer and interpreter if this makes you feel more comfortable about talking about difficult and personal issues. In most cases, the Home Office will be able to arrange this for you, so you should speak to your legal representative who can help you with this. Video interviews. Now, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, face-to-face interviews were paused at the beginning of lockdown in March 2020 last year, but some substantive asylum interviews have begun by video call. Now, video link for some asylum interviews were already used prior to the coronavirus crisis, and if you are told that you have an interview, you'll be told to attend the Home Office or a partner organisation location in person, but then the interview itself will most likely be by video, where you won't be in the same room as the interviewer. So unfortunately, due to all of this, there may be a delay for the asylum's substantive interview during your interview. So, as well as explaining your persecution and how you could be harmed, you can explain to the Home Office any way in which your human rights have been or will be violated on return to your home country. It's important to discuss the details of your persecution and the human rights violations with your legal representative, who can help you prepare for your interview. You can refer to any evidence you have when explaining what has happened to you, and you can tell the Home Office why you can't live in another part of your home country. The Home Office are deciding whether your case is credible, so you need to try and be consistent and honest throughout your interview. The Home Office may ask you the same question in many different ways at different times to check that you are giving consistent answers. So every time you talk to the Home Office, you must explain your case accurately and consistently. If you explain something wrongly during your screening interview, you can explain why that happened and correct any mistakes in this substantive interview. Now, it's important that you give accurate answers. If you do not know the answer to a question, please do not guess. You may have to talk about difficult and upsetting subjects, and you can ask for a break if you're getting tired, upset, and you're struggling to explain things. You should be given the time and facility to explain fully, and the Home Office interviewer must treat you with respect. The interpreter also has a duty to keep anything that is shared confidential. So there are organisations that can offer you appropriate support and counselling to help you come to terms with difficult or traumatic experiences that you've had. To find out more information on the support that's available, please have a look at their website. So we have the Helen Bamber Foundation, and the website is listed here. They're a specialist charity who work with people who have survived extreme physical, sexual and psychological violence. They deliver a range of integrated services addressing complex needs and vulnerabilities of survivors. So these include tailored program of specialist psychological care and physical rehabilitation activities, an advisory GP clinic, expert medical legal documentation, safeguarding, well-being and housing support, creative arts and employability skills programs. You also have another organisation called Freedom from Torture. They provide specialist psychological therapy to help asylum seekers and refugees who have survived torture recover and rebuild their lives here in the UK. They also provide training for professionals who may be working with torture survivors, and alongside survivors, they campaign for change in the UK and across the world by raising awareness to influence decision makers about torture and its impact. If they're not taking referrals and you need help, then please discuss this with your GP. So following your interview, you should be given notes and a recording of your interview. This will help you review what you said and address any errors that may have been made. You can submit further evidence and statements about what might have gone wrong in the interview. So thank you very much for attending this briefing today. We hope you found this useful.